Greetings, my name is George Falconer and this is Peniel. I recommend this book, How to Finish the Christian Life Following Jesus in the Second Half, by Donald W. Sweeting and George Sweeting. They are father and son, so it's two generations, talking about consistently following Jesus so that at the end, when you die, you're still following Jesus. That's a concern for me. It has been ever since the day I was converted. And I pray, Lord, that I will be welcomed into heaven and you'll say, well done, good and faithful servant. The Bible is the book that you really need, because that's God's word, that's infallible, and it will guide you and keep you as long as you follow it. But this book will assist. And on the back it says, go the distance and finish with your faith intact, and may it be so for me and those who follow the Lord. I'm going to read a short passage from Matthew chapter 15 that struck me very hard yesterday, and it was tremendous encouragement to me, and I hope that it'll be encouragement to the hearers of this video. The background is that Jesus has had a confrontation with the Pharisees, and he has now withdrawn to Tyre and Sidon. And the disciples have said to him concerning the Pharisees, they are very angry with you, as indeed they were. Leaving that place, Jesus withdrew to the region of Tyre and Sidon. A Canaanite woman from that vicinity came to him, crying out, Lord, Son of David, have mercy on me. My daughter is suffering terribly from demon possession. Jesus did not answer a word. So his disciples came to him and urged him, send her away, for she keeps crying out after us. He answered, I was sent only to the lost sheep of Israel. The woman came and knelt before him. Lord, help me, she said. He replied, it is not right to take the children's bread and toss it to their dogs. Yes, Lord, she said, but even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from the master's table. Then Jesus answered, Woman, you have great faith. Your request is granted. And her daughter was healed from that very hour. Now, what are we to make of this? Jesus has withdrawn to the region of Tyre and Sidon. Now, I'm only speculating about this, but I think he may have withdrawn to get away from the Pharisees for a while and have a good rest and refocus. Sometimes we need to have a good rest and refocus from what we're doing or from the opposition that we may be facing. So he did that. And then this Canaanite woman came to him with this request, saying, Jesus, Son of David, my daughter suffers terribly from demon possession. Now, this woman is a parent. And those of you who are parents know that you love your children, you're concerned for them. You're concerned about everything they do and everything that befalls them. And this was a mother who was worried about her daughter's demon possession. We're not told how it manifests itself, but obviously it was enough for this parent to be worried. Now, this was a Canaanite woman, not an Israeli woman. And she lived in the vicinity. So it must have got out that Jesus was in the vicinity, otherwise why would she bother coming? And why would she bother going to a man unless she knew who he was and what he could do? Jesus is the Son of God, and he performed miracles. And this lady wants a miracle. She wants her daughter to be healed. So the news must have got out. It must have been around the area. Jesus, this man, whom the Pharisees hate, is in our area. So I'm guessing that she probably wasn't the only one who came. There may have been a number of people. But this woman is singled out by Matthew as someone who's got the attention, and she makes this request of Jesus, saying, "My daughter is demon possessed." And what does she get? Complete silence from Jesus. Was she expecting that? When she got the silent treatment, I wonder what went through her mind. Have I offended him? I'm not an Israeli. I don't have the right to even ask him for this. And I can't demand it from him either. And he's silent. What is he thinking? Has anyone ever given you the silent treatment? And you look at their face and you're wondering, what are they thinking about what I just said? Perhaps these thoughts were going through her head. As if that's not bad enough, it got worse. Because the disciples, bear in mind, these men who were travelling with Jesus, who saw the miracles, who knew who he was, instead of saying to him, "Lord, won't you give this woman what she's requested?" say to him, "She's a nuisance. She's wearing us down. She keeps crying out after us." So it wasn't just a single request. This woman cried out and cried out and cried out. And the disciples, instead of taking pity on her, were exasperated and urged Jesus to send her away. I think I would have been very disappointed and disheartened at being told his disciples are urging him to send you away. She's made the effort to come. She's following them. She's pleading her cause, not demanding, pleading for her daughter, whom she obviously dearly loves. And the disciples are urging the one and only person who can help, send her away. That must have been disheartening. And I'm guessing that she continued to plead with him, even though the disciples were causing her to be disheartened. That's, it seems to me, is the implication in this passage. She still kept on going, asking Jesus for what she wanted. It was a test of her character. Why should we go on pleading and asking God for something when there's no sign of it coming? Do we just give up? This woman didn't give up. In fact, perhaps she pleaded all the more because the disciples said, "Send her away," and she didn't get anything said by Jesus. Maybe she thought, this isn't what I expected, but unless he sends me away, then I'm going to keep on asking and asking and asking, no matter how annoyed the disciples are. Finally, Jesus has got something to say. And I would imagine that this may have been just as disheartening But what he said was a statement of fact. Bear in mind, she was not an Israeli. She was from Canaan, not one of the chosen people as we understand it in the Old Testament. He answered, I was sent only to the lost sheep of Israel. I emphasize only because I want to draw attention to that. Jesus is saying, I was only sent to Israel, not to the Gentiles. My ministry is to the Jews. We know, of course, it was always the plan to go to the Gentiles, but at this point that had not been revealed, and very occasionally a Gentile would come to Jesus. But at this point, Jesus is telling the simple truth. He was only sent to Israel, not to the Canaanites, not to the Gentiles. And this again is a test of that woman's character. How is she going to respond to that? Is she going to become demanding? We can't demand anything of God. We can plead, we can ask, we can throw ourselves on his mercy, but we are not in any position to demand anything from God. The only thing that we deserve from God is his wrath. We can't demand anything. But this woman's looking for mercy. She even said, when she started off, have mercy on me. She's got it right. She knows she can't demand anything from Jesus. She knows that she's not Israeli. She knows that she can only ask for his mercy. Be merciful to me, a sinner. Be merciful to me, a mother who's got a daughter who's sick with demon possession. And that's where we are. We are sick with our sin, and we can only ask for God's mercy, not demand. And God may graciously give it. So having said to her, I was only sent to the lost sheep of Israel, the woman responds and says, yes, Lord, but even the dogs accept the crumbs from the master's table. What it actually says is the woman came and knelt before him, again, kneeling before him, looking for his mercy. Lord, help me, she said. He said, it is not right to take the children's bread and toss it to their dogs. Dogs roamed about the street. They weren't cute little pets that we have. They were wild animals. They were like rodents. And this woman, it seems, is being compared to a rodent. So it seems. It only seems. Jesus doesn't in fact think she's a rodent. He knows that she's a human being made in God's image. But again, he's testing her character, drawing it out. How is she going to respond to that? It's not right for me to give to you, as the master tossing bread from the table to dogs. It, on the surface, seems to be highly offensive. But the woman, again, her character is such. And I think that she has been well aware of Jesus for a long time. And she knows who he really is and doesn't think too highly of herself and demand. On the contrary, she's still pleading for his mercy, humbling herself. Her reply is this: "Yes, Lord," she said, "but even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from the master's table." She's saying to him, "I'm pleading with you, and I'll accept whatever you give me." That's all we can do with God, accept what he gives. You see, the focal point is not our faith in the sense that it's not some sort of power or force. The focal point is God, and in this case Jesus, and who he is. He is the giver. It's trust in him that counts, not trust in ourselves or trust in the size of our faith. But here's what Jesus says to her: "Woman, you have great faith." Now, sometimes Jesus said to people, "You have a little faith," or he encouraged them by saying, even if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you'll be able to say to this mountain, "Go," and be tossed in the sea. Size of faith is relative. The question is, who is our faith in? And our faith has got to be in Christ. It's got to be in the Lord and trusting in him, not trusting in anything else. So, this is one of the rare occasions where Jesus said, "You have great faith." He says, "Your request is granted." And her daughter was healed from that hour, immediately and completely. I don't know if the daughter was present. We're not told in this passage if she brought the daughter with her or if the daughter was left at home. And there's no laying on of hands either. But the woman trusted Christ to give her something. But it didn't happen automatically. She had to fight against discouragement. The discouragement of the silence of Jesus, the discouragement of the disciples telling Jesus to tell her to go away, and the discouragement of Jesus telling her that he was only sent to the lost sheep of Israel. Discouragement is a major thing in our lives, and it can overpower us if we let us. We have to be focused on Christ and get through the discouragement like she did, and that takes character. That takes getting to know God and trusting in him all the more. And I think God allows discouragement in order that our character will be built. I think Job was terribly discouraged when all his family were killed, all his cattle were killed, he lost all his money, and his friends, 4 of them eventually, were not exactly encouraging. He must have been terribly discouraged, and the object is, curse God and die. That was what the devil was tempting him with. Didn't happen, no, because God was right. He knew that Job served him wholeheartedly. And it seems to me this woman served the Lord wholeheartedly, and that's where her character came from. God had shaped her character. And that woman wouldn't have had any concept that centuries later we would be able to read about this and be encouraged by it. Her daughter was healed. She got what she asked for. We don't always get what we ask for, but we should be content with what God gives, and that's what she's saying here. Even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from the master's table. We should be content with what God gives. She got what she wanted though, but not without the difficulty of working through discouragement. Are you praying for something now? Are you discouraged? Let me encourage you to go on pleading with the Master and allowing him to shape you and allowing him to give you whatever it is he wants to give you. And I'll leave you with that thought.